I want to see how far I can bring the AI. So it's not only like now photos. Now you can even do it with video, right? And also with voice. While I was thinking about doing Wise, basically, again, the future has not only caught up with me, but kind of like, went past me in a way,
Wise is a think tank conference within music and tech and creativity. This year's theme is Me, Myself, and AI, and I'm going to moderate a panel about investment in music, tech, and in AI. The founder, Phillip, here is talking about Wise, how it happened, and why you should go. It's a partnership episode. Hey guys, and welcome back to Sound Connections Podcast. Today is a special episode. We are doing a Wise partnership episode. Phillip from Wise, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So we got connected through LinkedIn. A lot of my connections come through there. And you had a really curious thing about your profile is that you run a conference that you need to describe because it's quite unique. Can you just give me a quick intro to what Wise is?
Yeah, well, we call it Wise, the Future Festival and Think Tank. The idea about that is basically, we think about the future, mostly in music, art, and technology. And like the festival part is basically also coming from the fact that there's actually music at the festival. So during the day it's basically discussions and a lot of thinking and panels and conference kind of style things happening. And in the evening we have much more relaxed atmosphere with bands or DJs playing and people mingling and drinking beer and whatever is needed to make a festival happen.
Great. I've been looking forward to it, and I'm very lucky that I get to moderate a panel. So anyone who wants to go there of this audience, please consider it's in Berlin. It's going to happen at, if I remember correctly, 12th and 13th, so 13th to 14th of May.
14th, exactly, May 14th, 15th, yeah.
There we go. I'm looking very much forward to it. But we need to understand not only what Wise is, and thank you for a short description, but like how we came there. So what we start with this episode, I just need to understand the story. Phillip, you are from Germany, but something happened a bit further away than Germany. Can you just walk us through the story?
Yeah. So basically in 2007, I just finished my studies. I decided to go to China for the first time in May 2007. That had several reasons. One of it was like actually attending a music festival. And I'll just keep it to music here so it's not too confusing. And when I went to China, to Beijing, to be exact, there was a festival called MIDI Festival. It was one of the first music festivals that happened in China, actually, or like on a regular basis. And, I went there and it was completely fascinating. So you have to understand a little bit the background at that time. Everybody was talking about China because it was like 2008 was the Olympics, right? So like China was just like gaining much, much more international momentum and recognition. So everybody was talking about China, but nobody knew anything about it, And then from 2007 to 2009, I went back and forth. I was a little bit involved in a thing called Germany and China moving ahead together, which was basically, I always describe it as a little bit as a circus, as a wandering circus. So we went from one city to another, always second-tier cities. So it was not Beijing, Shanghai, the two main cities, but like it started in Nanjing, then went to, I believe it was Guangzhou, Shenyang, Chongqing, cities most people never have heard of before at that time. And it was basically a project by the German government and German business together to bring let me describe it like that. They took over the city or the biggest square in the city, put a huge stage on that square, put bands on there. So I was in touch with a little bit with bringing bands and so on. Putting bands like Chinese and German bands on there, and that went on for 3 years. And stopped at the Shanghai Expo in 2010. So every half a year there was a different cities where this kind of government event was going to.
And then sort of like from those years where you establish yourself and sort of you see this kind of music thing might be a new thing in the public to founding Wise, like a bit fast forward in between there, what was it that sort of motivated you to in 2018 take that leap? What happened in between?
Yeah, I mean, so basically in 2009, I founded a music company, bringing more professionalizing what we did already before, bringing first German music acts to China and then also Asia to more international acts. I mean, from your beautiful country, Royksop, for example, like a Norwegian electronic band, people from The Smiths or from Yes, a lot of techno DJs, all kinds of stuff. So basically, me and my Chinese partner, who was also playing in a band, kind of a famous Chinese band called Nova Heart, we were bringing people over to Asia. And that was like very much the beginning of the music industry over there, again, we have to see it in perspective. Everything was pirated, there was no streaming, no legal streaming and so on. So everything what we were doing was basically like a pioneering work. Also, like very few people were bringing in international acts, and around 2015, 2016, I would say the narrative about China was slowly changing from, oh, wait a second, they're not only copying us, but in some things they might be even better than us, and that started mostly with the internet, with apps like WeChat. I think WeChat was the first like super power app that everybody was talking about from the tech side, which is to describe it is kind of like a mess. It's like a WhatsApp on steroids. It's like a WhatsApp where you have like integrated, let's say, Facebook or Instagram, where you can pay with your anything, from products to to wire money to your friends and so on. So basically everybody was living on WeChat, and around that time also it was when we brought a bunch of people from China, like entrepreneurs and investors from the tech and music industry and creative industry, to Berlin to Tech Open Air, like a festival that still exists. And at that time we called it Neu China, with the idea of like showing the Chinese to look at how a cool festival could look like, a cool tech festival. And on the other hand, we wanted to kind of export it, doing our own conference in China that is also like cool and not so a little bit more creative than the usual festival was at that time in China. And out of that came basically Wise, and the idea of bringing, like, on the one hand the creators and the tech people together in China, but on the other hand also explaining the West, how China works and vice versa, especially where like the exchange was between China and Europe, but also people from the US, from Australia, from other places in Asia, and so on, also at Wise. That started in 2018 as a one-day conference. And then 2019, it was like a two-day conference. We also brought like in bands from Europe. We partnered up with the Reeperbahn Festival at that time. And it was like nicely growing to become like a fixed thing in the calendar for people to come to China. And then, of course, 2020 happened.
Okay. And now you're doing it again here in 2024. Has there been any conferences in between there? There was one last year.
So basically, we continued actually doing it. I mean, I took a plane from, beginning 2020 from Beijing to Berlin just to, basically I just wanted to like have a holiday. It was Chinese New Year at that time. And then when we landed, COVID started. And then, of course, the question was like how to continue with the festival in China, which was kind of crazy. So, and it was scheduled in April that year, or in May, I think. And it was like obviously, after a while we were like saying, okay, it's not possible. But then we postponed it to autumn in 2020. So we actually did an event in autumn 2020, which was like completely crazy. I mean, we had like actually physical events in China still while I was not there. So I had to like work with people on the ground, my partners over there, and at the same time we connected those people and those events with events in Berlin and in Hamburg. So I collaborated with the Reeperbahn Festival on the one hand, and also like did some of my own events, and then we tried to connect those events through the time zones and sometimes online and whatever. It was quite crazy, but it somehow worked, and we did it in 2020, in 2021, and even in 2022 a little bit. But then by 2022 we already did like then it was after COVID. We did our first real life event in Berlin, a standalone event, and then 2023 was the second edition, and then this year is the third edition, the third Berlin edition in real life in Berlin. But it continued basically all the time through the pandemic. Plus last year we also returned to China to do an event over there again, and so somehow we kept it going.
Great.
Yeah.
What is it about WISE that is special? What is it you bring and the perspectives you bring to the table that is worth attending for?
Well, I mean, I started WISE in China, right? So I always had this kind of idea in mind, looking from the outside of especially Europe or Germany, where I live now again in Berlin for 4 years. And I think I still have like this look from the outside that you cannot have when you're just like living in your own country the whole time. And so I'm trying to program it that way. I'm trying to be really kind of, cutting edge with what we are doing, with the topics, of course, but also like to always, push the boundary of what is happening a little bit. If you go, I always say like Europe, I'm not sure how Norway is, but I feel like, Germany is quite conservative. It's an old country with actually old people living in it. If you look at the pyramid of the age pyramid, basically. So that makes it sometimes a little bit slow and a little bit, slow to adapt. If you look to China or to the US, these are much more dynamic places. Although China was extremely dynamic the last 10 years, and now maybe it's a little less dynamic as well with COVID and the current political situation and so on. But it is still, a country which you shouldn't underestimate. And I think that's always the perspective that I'm trying to bring to WISE, just always to push the boundaries a little bit from the good old Europe, and it's nice here, and like everything will be as it always has been. Probably not, So I'm always trying to make people aware that things are changing and can change quite fast,
And this year's topic is quite timely. As I remember correctly, it's Me, Myself, and AI, which is sort of the title. And that's something, can you tell me a bit about that theme?
Yes. I mean, every year we have a theme. And this year, of course, AI is the big, the big theme of this year. I mean, it's funny. So on the one hand, so like Me, Myself, and AI was like a little bit coming from the idea of like, I want to see how far I can bring the AI, like can I take myself out of the process? That would be obviously the best, right? I mean, just make myself superfluous, and somebody else like, or the AI or my avatar, or whatever, like organizes WISE. I mean, spoiler alert, no, I unfortunately have to organize it still by myself and with my team, and there's like real people involved. But for example, every year we have we take portraits of people, basically friends of friends or whatever. Some are famous, some are not, and we use these portraits a little bit as a marketing tool to promote Wise. It's also the idea of it is also like to have the human in the center, right? Because of all the technology, we're always talking about technology and so on, but we should not forget that the human is still in the center of our conversation, as long as the AI is not talking to the AI. So this year, I just didn't use a photographer anymore. I just used a photo of myself, which we took like 2 years ago. And then I just like put, instead of my head, like different heads on there, but AI heads basically. And, so to also have this kind of discussion, like where's AI taking the jobs, can I, be a completely virtual person, and just from this, I used that technique, which was not, I couldn't use it like 1 year or 2 years ago even, I can use it now. And now this whole topic and the whole idea that I had to like basically, take me out of the picture becomes more and more crazy because I think you already experimented with it, with HeyGen and so on. So it's not only like now photos, which was, hard to do what I did like even half a year ago or like a year ago. Now you can even do it with video, right? And also with voice. So, while I was thinking about doing Wise, basically, again, the future has not only caught up with me, but kind of like, went past me in a way, So that's something that I'm trying to, make a topic out of it, like Wise. Yeah.
And it's really interesting about sort of taking yourself as a persona and pushing the limits. I'm not going to spill any beans this podcast yet, but the team and us are working on some things right now where we're just very much in doubt of whether or not we will release it, just because it's rather provocative. But like from the generated AI videos you can see now on the platform, we're working on some, took it further. But there's also the conflict, and that obviously that's something we're going to talk about in music. Like, when is it taking it too far? Like, what does it mean? Like, when are you experimenting with stuff that, it's not that you shouldn't, but like, when do you start becoming careful? And what does it mean to the music industry? What does it mean to the creative industry? Like, not to talk too much about it, like, but I've been working on Suno AI the last, couple of days in order to sort of see how far can I prompt. And this is not things I'm going to release, but when you see what's out on the Suno website of what I've heard of examples, like with songs that sounds like semi-good, me and my team through the last 3 days have found a special method actually to not only make full-length songs, but actually really good songs through structured processes. So we have 10 songs in the bank, which is full, well-written, well-produced, well-audio processed songs. Is much more than you can just get from your general prompts. The reason why I'm saying this is it's going so fast that these conversations needs to be had. And just today, I had the team with my head of strategy, like, are we pushing it too far? Like, is this pushing it too far? Should we pull the brake before we go too far? And we don't know. So we need a place in Berlin in around a month where we can talk about this. I think it's quite important because even though I talk with a lot of people, it's just a difficult conversation to have. That's obviously one of many conversations that's going to be had. But yeah.
And of course, the other question is like, can we even pull the brakes, even if we wanted to? So because of, game theory and so on, it will be difficult to pull the brakes, So
absolutely. That's also one of the arguments. But like, again, one of the controversial things with some of me and my team experimented with, like, well, we probably, we forced this will happen, but should we be the first ones to do it? Like, is that going to go over well? It's an interesting topic. And thank you, Philip, for being on the podcast. This is just sort of a teaser to what's going to happen at Wise. Before we add the episode, can you just walk through specifically what the guests at conferences will experience? What are they coming to?
Well, I mean, we have 2 days of full Berlin for you, basically, at 4 venues, 2 conference venues and 2 night venues. So you can also decide to, if you want to skip the conference, then only mingle at night with bands from all around the world, basically. On the music side, we have like Sam Quealy, for example, who also brought to China recently, who's like a crazy dancer slash performer. She has worked with a lot of fashion people, a lot of like people from the from the voguing world and so on. We have Nadav Sivan, who is like related to a certain Troye, who is more like on the pop side of things, who has an amazing voice. We will actually clone his voice and we'll give it to people to experiment with. That's one of the things that we're doing to get on the AI theme again. Then, of course, we have people like Harriet Davey, who also experiment with AI, but also like going into virtual worlds with their like fluid avatars and so on. We will talk about how AI actually, metaverse was like the big topic of last year, right? And now everybody, the metaverse is not going to be there anymore. Maybe the word metaverse is not there anymore, but virtual worlds, virtually immersive worlds will continue to flourish, basically. And AI makes the whole process even faster, right? Because now you can easier build 3D worlds. So we're going to talk about that as well. We talk about regulation, AI regulation all over the world, how this is affecting us. We'll have a look at, actually the German government's policy at innovation and AI. If you look at the EU AI Act, I mean, Germany is still the biggest country in the EU and has like a lot to say when it comes to EU policy making, of course. So it also gets a little bit political. We will have a lot of AI startups that will present at WISE their newest products. And of course, for example, we have your panel where it's more like about investment in AI and the music tech ecosystem, because that's also like very important to like how can we foster this music tech ecosystem. On the one hand, of course, we have all these startups. On the other hand, and we will discuss it at WISE, and I think we will discuss it already a little bit before, how or what role can investors play, and how can this whole ecosystem be get a little bit better, basically. A lot of topics.
That's so many interesting topics, and I think anyone who's interested in AI or music tech or music or creative arts should definitely be there. I've looked through the speaker list multiple times. It's great people, so I know it's going to be high quality. Well, Philip, it's been a pleasure touching base with you. We're going to have a couple of more episodes with WISE guests here the next few weeks, which is basically just diving into those people that will be there, their thoughts on this topic or other topics. And then I'm looking so much forward to seeing you in about a month's time. And for everyone out there listening, come to WISE. We'll have a beer together and have some good talks.
Yeah, looking very much forward to it. A few of your former speakers will also come, right? I'm Matthias from Music Tech Germany and New Visions, and Hazel Savage from SoundCloud. So I'm looking forward to having them all. Yeah.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much.